When it comes to making the Reds roster make sense for 2026, there's one man who's the odd man out, and his glove, it's gold.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in to Locked On Reds. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and now the #1 sports podcasting network in all the land. Thanks so much for helping make that happen. My name's Stephen Offenbaker. His name's Jeff Carr. We love baseball. We love talking about the Reds. We love talking about baseball, so much so we've been doing it for a combined 16 seasons in podcast form. Thanks for being here. We love talking baseball with you. On today's show, a little bit later, we're going to talk about something Joey Votto had to say that I had to say first, much like I wore number 19 before Joey did. He seems to really just want to be me, and that's okay. I love it. You know, they say emulation is the highest form of flattery. So I appreciate that, Joey. Thanks for listening. We got that here in a few minutes, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. Also, we're going to talk about what we believe, what I believe, what Jeff believes individually. The most sure thing is for the Cincinnati Reds in 2026. We probably have different answers for that. And where we will begin today's show is with who is going to be the odd man out, because you don't have to squint very hard. You don't have to look for very long to understand that there's one guy that if he's in the lineup, it is not the best version of the Cincinnati Reds lineup. And that is where we are going to start talking about this Reds team today, because you look at Ke'Bryan Hayes, you look at what he does offensively in a game, in a lineup. And I know his defense is good. I know he can catch a baseball better than a lot of other guys, but his offensive production in the number 9 spot is an automatic out more often than not. And you could create a different rotation, create a utility guy, somebody that's going to get full-time playing time without a full-time position. And in order to accomplish that, somebody's the odd man out. Somebody has to sit more. Somebody has to be a defensive replacement. All of those things point at Ke'Bryan Hayes. And that's what I would do, Jeff. I would sit him down, and instead that would let you, and I want to plant this seed before you come back at me with why you want him in there so you can wear your Cincy shirt. I heard you and Tim talking yesterday, but it should be him so that Sal Stewart can be that move around guy. He can play at first. He can play at second. He can play at third. He can play at DH. That gets Nathaniel Lowe in the lineup, who's going to make this team. We're going to talk about that because Cowboy had some things to say on yesterday's broadcast about Nathaniel Lowe that I agree with. Thanks for listening, Cowboy. We are going to get into a lot of that. So what say you? Because I just can't see that his glove is worth keeping him in the offense.
No, I agree. It's interesting because I feel like the discussions of what makes a good baseball team seem to be cyclical, because there are many years where we talk about, all right, punt defense for good offense. And there's been a few years these past few seasons where it's just like, you know what, maybe the Reds really need to improve their defense a little bit here. Now it kind of feels like we're swinging back the other way, because Ke'Bryan Hayes is far and away the best glove at third base in the league. It is clear he had a good shot at a platinum glove last year, but albeit he is the favorite for the gold glove at the third base position this year, again, it's all about what he brings with the bat. And when you look at this Reds ball club, I think that we understand how a starting pitcher impacts a team's season with how many games he pitches, how many times that he's in a game. I don't think we fully understand how much a hitter impacts a team's performance based on how much he hits, how much he plays, because there were 2 guys last year, Steve, that had over 600 plate appearances on the Reds. That's it. There were 3 more guys, so 5 guys total with 500 or more plate appearances on the team. There are so many guys that factored in to playing time for the Reds last year that aren't here anymore. Santiago Espinal is first among them at 328 plate appearances. Those were 328 just lovely experiences is what those were. Jake Fraley had 193 plate appearances last year. Miguel Andujar had 110 plate appearances. Those guys are gone. So you got to fill that time somehow. But at the same point, you've got to make sure that you're getting the impact out of the guys who are playing the most. And we know that they're going to have a much better impact on the lineup if we see more playing time from Sal Stewart, if we see more playing time from Spencer Steer, and definitely if we see more playing time from Nathaniel Lowe than if Ke'Bryan Hayes gets more at-bats than all those guys.
Yeah, and I picked Sal Stewart because I feel like, you can play him at first a little bit. You can play him at second when Matt McLain is either at DH or off or covering shortstop for Ellie. You can play him at third when you need to have Nathaniel Lowe at first. You can play him at DH when you want to kind of give him a quasi day off. Then Gino can move to third or Gino can move to first, depending on what you do with the other guys. But in all of that moving around, there's just not room to keep getting Ke'Bryan Hayes in the game and get him at bats and time. Now, I've got no problem if you're out in front of a game, it's the 7th inning, and you've had Gino over there at third base, and you're like, all right, we've got a 3-run lead. Let's put Ke'Bryan over there, make sure nothing sneaks through. Got no problem with that. I just feel like that the best version of this team, and the further into the season we get, the more you're going to want the best version of the lineup out there. We have said time and time again, this team needs to get somewhere close to 5 runs a game. They score 5 runs a game, we feel like this is a division-winning team. I am much more like their odds of being able to do that, playing the multiple pieces on the infield like I just described, than having Ke'Bryan Hayes in the 9 spot being an automatic out. And let's just say, let's look at his 2025, Jeff, because and let's not even look at all of his 2025. Let's just look at his 2025 when he came over from the Pirates. Let's throw out the Pirates portion of that year. He had a split of 230 slash line, 234, 315, 342, OPS plus of 78. That's in 52 games. That's not good enough. That's not good enough for a team that's trying to break through and build a team that can win a playoff series, that can win this division, that can finally get past all those things. That's not good enough, but they could be good enough if you keep those other bats in the lineup all year long.
And then I think the follow-up to this is, okay, well then so what? It almost makes it sound as though he doesn't belong on the roster. I agree with your take, though, that he should be a late-game defensive replacement, but I do think there's going to be a point in this season where, let's just say he hits the IL for nerve impingement, something like that.
No low back spasms.
Low back spasms. Yeah, he does have a chronic back issue, so it would make sense. But what point do you think that the Reds reach that? Because they're not going to get rid of him. He has multiple years left on his contract, unless they were to trade him. But I feel like if they were going to trade him, they were going to do it in the offseason, not during the season. And if they're going to trade him at all, it'll be next offseason at this point. So all of that is off the table here. This is how do you manage him within the Reds roster currently? And I think it's this phantom IL stint for a very long period of time. When do you think that they make that decision? Because I feel like we as Reds fans almost would prefer it on opening day.
I would, but I think the honest answer is probably around June 1st. June 1st, he'll have approximately 50 to 60 games under his belt. That gives you the same sample size that we saw him in Cincinnati last year, Jeff. And you'll know, is he that same 78 OPS plus guy that he was in Cincinnati last year? Or can he get somewhere closer to the guy he was in 2023 for Pittsburgh, where he was in 124 games, had an OPS plus of 103, his only full season in the bigs where he was better than 100 in OPS plus. And that slash line looked a little better. It was 271, 309, 453 with 15 home runs. That guy is a number 9 hitter. That's a little bit of a different conversation. But right. I think the odds are he's going to be the same guy that he was last season. Now, I know the reports are that he spent a lot of time this offseason conditioning, trying to strengthen his back, trying to get back to the guy he was before that injury. So I say, fine, June 1st, 60 games. That's a pretty good sample size to know what you're dealing with out of Ke'Bryan Hayes for 2026. If he's the same Ke'Bryan Hayes from last year, I think you have to move to a format where he's the defensive replacement and you keep Sal Stewart in there moving around.
Because the Reds need to keep the best version of their lineup on the field at all times, because we know how this lineup can go when it's going. And since they've added a Eugenio Suarez, this could be really fun all season long. But I know this, Steve, when it comes to 2026, there are no sure things. Death, taxes, all those different things, running into different traffic impingements as you're trying to get to work or get somewhere when you're late. But I also have a really good feeling about our man Gino. We'll tell you about that next.
MLB opening day is almost here, and you can feel it. Fresh starts, big expectations, and that first crack of the bat. Whether it's a breakout rookie or a division race that goes down to the wire, there's nothing like being in the ballpark for it. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping way up at checkout. That's where GameTime comes in. The GameTime app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. That's how you can unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I use GameTime all the time. Jeff uses GameTime all the time. I just used it to buy some hockey tickets for this weekend in Seattle to watch my Kraken probably lose. You can get tickets for everything. All of the major sports, concerts, comedy, whatever you're looking for, GameTime has it. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets or any other tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create your account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Download the GameTime app today.
Thank you for making Locked On Reds part of your day, making your first listen, second listen, however many listens. We appreciate you being part of the show. And look, you already make us your team every day. Now, take it up a notch and go ad-free. Join the Locked On Reds Everydayer Club. Go to lockedonreds.supercast.com, and you can use the promo code SPRING up through the end of February to get 1 free month of the Everydayer Club. You get an ad-free feed, members-only Discord access, and so much more. And then it's $5 a month thereafter. Learn more. The link is in the description of today's episode, or just go to lockedonreds.supercast.com. All right, Steve, I think we talk a lot, and we will as spring training goes along, about predictions, whether they be bold or otherwise. But I think it's also key to understand there are some things that just going to happen. And I'm starting first and foremost with Eugenio Suarez, because right now FanDuel has his over-under. And look, this wasn't a sports betting futures thing, but I find this to be a good starting point. They have his over-under on home run total at 33.5. I think that might be the surest over bet I've ever thought of. I have a hard time imagining. Like I think that there's a world where he hits 30. I definitely don't think there's a world where he hits less, but I think there's a really, really good chance of him hitting at least 35 or more home runs this year.
That's what the Reds need him to do, and that's what they're paying him to do, and that's why they brought him in here. I mean, I keep talking about the fact that Ellie now has 100 home runs in the lineup behind him, and a lot of that's driven by Gino, 49 of them, in fact, last season. So 33.5, I think he gets that for sure at Great American Ballpark. The Reds need him to do that. I feel like 40 home runs for Eugenio Suarez in 2026, while it's not a lock for 40, I feel like it's pretty reasonable to ask Gino to give you 40 bombs playing 81 games at Great American Ballpark in 2026. I feel good about how Gino's looked. I feel good about how he's looked for the last couple years. I think that he can do that. And is it a sure thing for him to beat that? I love where you're going with that. I would take the over as well. You're probably just a little more bullish on it than I am, but I would take the over. And while I finish up and move into this next thought, Jeff, can you look and see just real quick, is there an over-under on Hunter Greene strikeout total 2026? If you can get that for me real quick. I should have asked you that before we started recording. But my sure thing involves Hunter Greene, Jeff, because I look at this starting rotation. I look at how all of these guys performed last year. And my sure thing is that Hunter Greene is going to lead this team in strikeouts in 2026. He will be the number one strikeout guy.
So FanDuel has it set at 179.5. So 179 and a half strikeouts for the season.
So if he does that, he will lead the team in strikeouts. The best strikeout guy on this team in 2025 was Brady Singer at 163 and 32 starts. Hunter Greene had 31 less strikeouts in 19 starts. Hunter Greene at 179 in a season where he starts 25, 26 games. I think he beats that 179. I think he could get you to 180.
Are you concerned about Nick Lodolo at all?
You look at him, he had 29 games, 28 of those starts. His strikeout total was 156. He was averaging a straight 9 strikeouts per 9. So basically a strikeout per inning pitch. I think all things being equal, if Hunter Greene gets the 25 to 26 starts that you and I have both said we expect from him in 2026, if he gets those starts, he'll break 180. He'll lead this team in strikeouts. I'm not concerned about what Lodolo does, because Lodolo realistically can only give you 1 or 2 extra starts from what he gave you last season. And his strikeout total was at 156. I don't see him adding another 50 strikeouts, being 50 strikeouts better just because he got another start or 2 or figured something out. I think the strikeout totals we see from him is going to be between 9 and 10 strikeouts per 9. Hunter Greene still has room to grow. So I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty sure, for me, the sure thing is Hunter Greene leads this team in Ks in 2026.
Yep. We talk about strikeouts per 9 a lot. We talk about walks per 9 a lot. Obviously, the idea being if a pitcher threw 9 innings, that is how many strikeouts they would have. Hunter Greene had 11 strikeouts per 9, as opposed to Nick Lodolo's 9 strikeouts per 9. Brady Singer, 8.6. Andrew Abbott, 8.1. So it's like these guys are who they are. I'm with you. I don't think that I see Nick Lodolo just all of a sudden just gaining a ton of strikeouts. And while Andrew Abbott was phenomenal last year, we kind of know who he is too. Like, he's a guy who misses barrels. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that doesn't mean that he's going to just show up and be a 12 strikeouts per 9 guy this year. That kind of a jump year over year would have every single person watching baseball just raise their eyebrow all the way.
I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it, but I just don't think it's definitely not a lock. That's not a sure thing. We're talking about sure things right now.
That would be a bold take. Yeah, that'd be a bold prediction.
For sure.
And that's the other part about this too that I want to look at, talking about the 33.5 for Eugenio Suarez, because I feel like there's still so many people that are like just so down on the strikeouts or the batting average or whatnot. I mean, 2019, he had 49 home runs. We talk about that a lot. 2018, he had 34 home runs. 2021, he had 31 home runs. Like, the idea of hitting over 33.5 is just not that foreign. And oh, by the way, last year, hitting out in Arizona and Seattle, much bigger ballparks than Great American, he hit 49 bombs. So I feel like he is who he is at this point in his career. He knows who he is at this point in his career, which is a masher, an absolute smasher of baseballs. And that's what they brought him in to do. And so when you look at these two things, because I agree with you on the Hunter Greene bid, 179.5 strikeouts. Honestly, I feel like it's close to where it was. I can't remember the exact total last year, where his over-under was last year. And I thought that was a given. But, of course, health derailed that a bit. It's just, if Hunter has the health and if Hunter has the availability, he is going to smash overs on statistics like strikeouts and things like that. I'd be curious to see what his overall performance is and how close he would be to that Cy Young, because we know Paul Skeens is going to have 32 starts. We know Zach Wheeler. Well, Zach Wheeler might not, because he's dealing with a lot of injuries, and I don't think he's coming back until a little bit later on into the season. But you also have a couple of, Chris Sale is healthy and ready to go. So there's going to be some competition there, but I know that what he can control is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And just as an honor, for a funsy thing, just to wrap up this segment, because I'm looking at totals and what I think guys will do. Piggybacking off of what you're saying about Eugenio Suarez, and I agree with you, over 33 seems pretty reasonable. What number, if I were to ask you to give me a number, combined home runs, Eugenio Suarez and last season's home run leader, Elly De La Cruz?
Combined,
because
it feels like
what's our over under number? What's our over under number for those two cats?
62.5.
Okay,
over under 62.5, because then that would mean you would still be conservative on Gino. Let's say 35,
and you're looking for a 30-30 minimum season out of Elly De La Cruz
to hit the over.
Yeah.
So then you're asking him to do what we thought he was kind of tracking toward, because it felt like he was trending toward 30 home runs last year before he got hurt. But can he do that this year?
That seems reasonable to me. I think I might play around a little bit, throw a little bit towards the over on that too. I like that. That's a good answer, Jeff.
Over.
Good answer. When that wouldn't happen? That wouldn't happen if the Reds listened to Joey Votto right now and pushed back the fences. But Joey talked about that, and we're going to talk about that coming up next. If you can't watch us on YouTube, you can listen to us on every single podcasting app that's out there. If you find one we're not on and you need us to be there, message Jeff. He can probably make it happen for you. You can take us in the car. You can take us to the gym. You can take Jeff for a long walk down by the river because he loves that. Audio Locked On Reds. Also, that's where the Everydayer Club lives. Ad-free Locked On Reds over there in the audio feed. $5 a month, $50 a year. Right now, through the end of February, use the promo code SPRING for a free month to try it out. You will not be sorry that you did. The link for that is down in the show description. Check it out today. All right, let's talk a little bit about what Joey had to say. Because, I was playing around there at the beginning that he stole my number. He did. I was playing around that he's talking about my idea. He is. Because when Kansas City changed their fences, I said the Reds should do this. It's not like the ballpark's full every day. They're not giving up ticket sales. They can take out some seats. And if they're not going to go get a masher, then move back the fences. Now, it would be the most Cincinnati Reds thing ever to go sign Eugenio Suarez and then move the fences back.
Then move back the fences.
And then move the fences back. That would be the most Reds thing ever. So let's put a pause on that. But after the lockout, after the CBA negotiations, maybe when we all come back to the ballpark in 2028, we could find that the fences have been pushed back. I think this is a great idea. The Reds have said their organizational philosophy is now to develop pitching, grow strong pitching, have great pitching, bring that up through the system, get some other players along the way, sign some people to fill in the holes, and that's your team. But if the focus for this team is going to continue to be starting pitching, help them out, move the fences back, take away the home runs, make this a pitcher's park. If your organizational philosophy is to develop pitchers. This is not hard and it's not rocket science. And I'm surprised that Nick Krall hasn't stumbled upon it yet. Nick, we know you listen. Wait till 2028. Move the fences.
If I were Buster Posey and I was looking at the Cincinnati Reds, I'd be like, that's the roster that we should have here in San Francisco.
Yes.
Like pitching and the speed that the Reds have. Like, because we keep hearing about him, and kudos to Blake Dunn. He absolutely scorched a ball on Wednesday's game and ended up getting caught near the wall, but he scorched it over 100 miles an hour. That dude would eat if he was playing in a bigger ballpark because he'd be hitting line drives in the gap, getting triples all day because he's fast as all get out. Of course, Elly De La Cruz going to be leading the league in triples easy. You would have, Spencer Steer would do pretty well too because remember, he's pretty high up on the sprint speed scale as well, and so is Matt McLain. Like, this team is so fast and so good at taking the extra base. We talked about last season, the whole base running metric and the thing that Baseball Savant has. The Reds were actually much better at advancing extra bases during hits than they were at stealing bases. Bigger outfield, hello. Like, I don't really understand the whole small park metric anymore for the Reds because they refuse to really put money into big-time power hitters anymore. Made sense with Adam Dunn, made sense with Ken Griffey Jr., made sense with Jay Bruce, made sense with Joey Votto. But ever since those guys have left, they have been begging and pleading for Elly De La Cruz to hit line drives and make more contact and worry less about power than they have in years past with anybody else. And they're saying that to every hitter that comes through the doors. And as much as everyone wants to harp on Chris Valleca's hitting strategy, this would absolutely support that. And so you would see a lot more about the contact first style of hitting that the Reds want to be, the line drive focused hitting that the Reds want to be if you move those fences back. I think it supports the hitting, it supports the pitching. And you know what happens when you do that, Steve? You win more ball games. You know what happens when you win more ball games? More people come down to the ballpark. And when you're taking out 2 or 3 rows of seats down there at the front, you know what you're going to get more of? Sellouts.
Correct. And all those guys you just mentioned, I don't know if you caught this as you were doing it, but they're all left-handed. Every single guy you mentioned as a home run hitter was a left-handed power hitter. That's why right field at Great American Ballpark is the way that it is. Yep. Great American Ballpark is 404 to center field as a nod to Riverfront Stadium. I'm all for nostalgia. That was cool. I don't care. Move the fence back. And then, left field, you had to make, similar dimensions and do things. So I'm okay with, I don't need the nostalgia. If you're not bringing a bopper, push the fence back. I want this organization to do all of the things within its power to win. And we know that one of the things that they're not going to do is go hand out $3 and $4 and $500 million contracts for guys that are going to hit 60 home runs a year. We know that's not going to happen. So do this, make this a pitching friendly park and support the pitchers you're drafting and developing. It's you're right. Buster Posey would be like, give me that team. Put that team at, whatever they're calling the ballpark out in San Francisco now. Is it still AT&T? I don't know, but
no, it's not. It's Oracle Park.
Oracle,
yeah.
Whatever we're calling that park. This team would win a lot of games at that ballpark, for sure. So I like this idea. And just while we're on the topic of Joey Votto coming back to baseball, if you haven't listened to the podcast that he was just on, I don't know if we're plugging team-based podcasts or not around here, but you know how to find it. Go find it. I get that Joey would have wanted to take a year or two and step away from the game and go live life. And it sounds like Joey is doing all the things that he's always wanted to do. But I am excited to have him on the NBC broadcast this season. Anytime I have ever heard Joey Votto talk baseball, I have learned something. It's been fun. It's been engaging. It's been informational. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that. I also get, why he's now ready to come back. He has a lot to offer. He has a lot of information and baseball knowledge to offer. And for Joey Votto to say push back the fences, I agree. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the other nuggets and pearls of wisdom that he has to drop along the way. I'm excited to have Joey back in the game.
Yeah, I will continue to say that I think he's got a real shot to be like that guy, because I feel like baseball doesn't have that guy on television broadcast that people gravitate toward. Basketball has that, football has that, hockey had that for a little while with Doc Emmerich, and now he's retired, but they still have a lot of great analysts. We know how to complain about national analysts when it comes to baseball, but if you were to ask somebody who their favorite national analyst right now is, I don't think they could tell you until they really, really think about it. Joey Votto will quickly, even outside the city of Cincinnati, become someone's favorite baseball analyst. And I firmly believe that is going to happen this year.
Let me ask you this. Can a Hall of Fame baseball player win the Ford C. Frick Award as a broadcaster? Could Joey Votto get inducted into the Hall of Fame twice as a player and as a broadcaster? Because I think he could put together a Hall of Fame quality broadcast career starting now.
I think so. I don't know that it's ever happened, just because I think that Hall of Fame worthy players did so much like after their Hall of Fame career anyway, of like different varying things. So they never really sat down in a booth for long enough to do it. But I definitely think that could happen. I mean, he is going to be a national guy. We always said from the get-go, we didn't think he would be a team-specific dude for the Reds. As awesome as that would be, he's just too awesome for us to keep to ourselves. And he's going to be a national guy. Like, I really don't think it is hot takey or anything like that to say he could be the baseball version of John Madden. He really could. Like, he's going to bring people to baseball with how he calls the game and how he opens up their minds to understand what it is that they're seeing. That's the important part about broadcasting that we just haven't seen. Like, all we hear from guys like John Smoltz is what is wrong with the game that he is calling. Joey Votto's not going to do that. And he's going to be so awesome, so good for the game.
I agree 100%. And that is where we are going to wrap it up for today, folks. Thanks, as always, for making Locked On Reds your first listen each and every day. For the audio folks, go make your second listen the Locked On MLB feed. 2 shows cooking over there for you now. Sully's got you covered for Major League Baseball in a national perspective. And then Mike Stanton has joined up with Brett Chauncey to do a show talking about all of Major League Baseball, again, from a player's perspective. You can find that in the Locked On MLB feed as well. For the video folks, we're going to redirect you right over to Locked On's first ever 24/7 national YouTube channel, where all of the experts of Locked On Reds are talking ball for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're going to send you there right after this. As for me, Jeff and I, we will be back in your feeds tomorrow, gathering up all the news, the notes, the rumors, the reports, all of the information to keep you locked on Reds every single day.